700 WLW. We will keep you informed on the Carson Palmer trade. Willie's got Dave Lapham joining him at about 12:33 today. And, of course, our sports department and news department is all over it. Coming up tonight, I'm going to be joining the Empower You series discussing China. Friend or foe in the future? Is China our friend or foe? We're going to be at Connections Church tonight, East Galbraith Road, and that'll be about 7 o'clock. Join me out there. I'll lay out my perspective on China. Friend or foe? I've had some business dealings with China in the past. I follow it in the news quite a bit, and I think I have some interesting points. So join me again, Connections Church tonight, as part of the Empower You series. Joining me now is Rich Hoffman from No Lakota Levy. How are you?
Oh, I have a tear in my eye today. It's a sad day.
A little sad day. Why is that a sad day there?
Well, not only have we lost Carl,
yeah.
one of the great creators in the city, but I'm looking at this letter from our school board president at Lakota, and it has these pictures of these kids on it, and it just kind of makes you well up a little bit.
Yeah, what is going on with that? I want to have you on. I got the release from your blog. What is that all about? This is the president of the school board?
Yeah, this is the president of the school board who has sent out an endorsement letter, which isn't all that odd, endorsing the candidates that she would like to see become the next school board members. There's 2 seats that are up this year. What is a little odd is anytime you see a letter like this, well, first of all, are you alone in the studio?
Yeah, we're alone, yeah.
Are you alone?
Yeah.
It's just you and your listeners?
Yeah, just us. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because this letter came from Deep Throat, somebody who is within the administration.
Somebody in the know. Okay, pass it along to you.
That she believes is her friend. And so I was passed this along by Deep Throat. So this is a very confidential letter. Okay. Anyway, I guess this went around to some select people within her circle. And it basically puts the blame on why things have been messed up at Lakota on the school board not being unified. And what's going on is some of those folks on the school board are starting to listen to some of the things that we've brought up. And
oh, okay. So she's saying if only those people would fall in line and still think like us, and they wouldn't listen to those crazy Rich Hoffman type people, we'd be fine.
Yeah, and the people she's endorsing are folks that are working the levy. I mean, they're working on this year's levy, so you know where they're tax and spend people. So it tells you where her mind is, and as representatives of the community, we elect these folks to represent us, who stands between us and these union contracts. And that kind of gives you an idea how things steamroll out of control.
Well, this is the problem. Wrong or right, whether you agree with her, whether you agree with you, whether you agree with me, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
The thought that somehow, and we see this, Rich, all over the place with school boards in particular, where everybody just falls in line and votes the same way. They go along they're not even doing their job. They just go along with the flow. Right. Why does that happen with these school boards?
Well, you have me because there's no money in this. I mean, they get like $100 for each meeting they have, and they have a couple of meetings every single time, every month, which isn't a big deal. I mean, a couple $100, you show up, have your meeting. So there's no money in this thing. This is I don't get what the deal is. I mean, why would you even want to do the job? Because they basically have to go regulate, to hire people who are going to manage the district. So there really isn't a whole lot of fanfare in this thing. But what's going on is this politicking that she's playing on. There's a school board member that she has to work with all the time who is running to be reelected, and that lady is not one of these 2 people. And the chances are the incumbent's going to win. So that means when the school board reconvenes after this election, she's going to have to work with this lady.
Wow.
So so that's not exactly building consensus. You know what I mean?
Maybe you get to the point. Maybe you get on the board, and as soon as you're elected or appointed there, somebody comes along and goes, "Hey, here's how it's going to be." I mean, maybe everybody gets a visit from some questionable characters that are like, "Hey."
Yeah, well, that seems to be what you do. She's just trying to build a consensus, and I think it's pretty unfashionable. And then to stick her grandkids on this letter is as if to say, anytime I see kids involved in some sort of political ad, you always have to dig a little deeper because there's something underlying the message.
Absolutely. All right, Rich Hoffman, you're going to be out and about tonight. There's an event you're heading to?
Yeah, I'm speaking at the Westchester Tea Party about this issue and issue 2.
Okay, should be good information.
Should be exciting, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of vocal people. It seems to be the fad around here these days.
All right, Rich Hoffman from No Lakota Levy. Thanks, sir. I appreciate it.
Extremely important. These federal issues, I think that's what the Tea Party got together to deal with. was those types of things. But if you can't take care of business in your own backyard, then you're not doing a whole lot of good paying attention to something that's at the federal government. I'm Rich Hoffman of the Lakota levy. You might have heard us. We've been fighting these levy battles for quite some time, about a year and a half now. And let me tell you something, it's really, really difficult to fight something where it's emotionally charged. We've seen it with issue 2, the collective bargaining reform, and you've seen it with school levies. There's 11 school levies going on in all of Cincinnati, Lakota being one of them, Lakota being one of the largest. Not in dollar amount, it's a small levy compared to the rest of them. It's a 4.75 mil levy, which what that means to all of us is for every $100,000 of assessment on your property, it's approximately $145. So if you have a $200,000 home, it's going to cost you $290 a year. Now, the people who want you to pass this levy, who want this money, they'll say, that's only $24. You can afford $24. If you can't, then what's wrong with it? And they play the game like that. The problem is $24 here, $24 there. If it's only if you only have $100,000 home, it's only $12. That's your Netflix account. You can do that for the kids. Well, that's the problem. This is not about kids. These school levies are not about children. And it's been very difficult. Now, behind me in this little Lakota group, there's a lot of people that have been involved, and they stay, we meet, we talk, and we've been doing this, but it's very hard. You go into the public and put your name in the paper, and then go on TV and talk about it because you become a target. But why? Why are you a target? Why should saying the obvious be such a bad thing? Well, let me show you something. I had 120 emails yesterday. The day before that, I think it was 90-some. And the day before that, I think it was only 70. It's really kicked in. But let me read you one of these emails. Now, this comes from one of our neighbors. This could be the person who lives right next door to you, or right across the street, or down the road, or in the next neighborhood. This person wrote to me because of the opposition of Little Lakota against this levy. And I have to amend this because it's kind of derogatory. This is one of the cleanest ones that I could use. You know what, a-hole? My kids are now suffering because the levy didn't pass. And a-holes like you will probably cause the next levy to fail, which means they will suffer even more. No buses for high school, limited for junior high and elementary, honors, sports, and any types of arts cut or extreme cost to parents. I bet your kids are out of the house. You give a blank about the kids! Exclamation point. They suffer. Our schools decline and property values decrease. The last one might interest you, greedy SOB. Now, when I read that kind of stuff, it makes me want to fight this stuff even more. That really bothers me because we're not having a good discussion about whether or not we should pay for this levy. That's intimidation. That's telling me, go get in the hole. Bury your head, pass this levy, give us the money, and shut up. That's what they're telling me. That's what that says. What this levy is about a $160 million budget, a multi-million-dollar budget that we fund. We give that to these schools. And we want the schools. We expect the schools to be good. We expect them to be excellent. I don't expect anything less. But the question is, what makes it excellent? I would say that it's the community itself that makes it excellent. We make the school. We hire those people to teach our children, and then they go to teach children. But the problem is, what dictates the money, what dictates that they have this increase, this levy request, is that they have an average salary at Lakota, 2,000 employees, of $63,000. That's their average salary. And so then that brings up, well, how much does a teacher worth? Aren't your kids worth that amount of money? Can't you just pay $24 more a month? That's not what it's about. Because after you satisfy $63,000, when we first started the No Lakota group, the average salary was $59,000. $59,000. It went up to $63,000 in a year and a half because of collective bargaining. So last year after the levy failed, we didn't just go hide. We wrote to our representatives, we talked to them, we met with them, we got together in little groups, and Senate Bill 5 was created, not just by the Lakota group or this particular region, but regions all over Ohio who had the same problem. Because we can't fund our school because collective bargaining says you have a teacher's contract and we will live up to it. And because of the collective bargaining, that puts the imposition on the taxpayer, on us, to satisfy it. So we go and elect school boards, and the school boards are supposed to regulate now on our behalf. But as we discovered at Lakota, it's all too easy to fall into league with the unions in building alliance. So when it comes time to negotiate the contract, it goes straight on through. If the school board has a little bit of a dispute against the union, they call on the arbitrator, and in front of the federal arbitrator, a mediator, comes in and it settles, it pushes the school board being an unpaid job, they just kind of go away, and that's the way it's been done for years, and that's what costs us these levies. That's the cost of this Lakota levy. It isn't out of necessity, only because our school board negotiated a contract, which they didn't have the money and didn't have the guts to say to the union, no. Now I'll tell you guys, about 2 weeks ago we met with the superintendent, No Lakota group that is, and there's our executive group, got together, sat down with the superintendent, she wanted to ask us, she wanted to reach across the aisle, what do you want us to do? You're opposing our levy, what's the fix? And we said to them, we said to the superintendent, Superintendent Mantia, what you should have done before you ever came to the taxpayers with a levy, even though it's a reduced levy, you should have went to the union and said, negotiate your salary structure so that you have an average of $55,000, which is reasonable. If some of your high dollar people don't want to do that, then let them go to Sycamore. Let them go. Let them leave. Or if you want to be in a good community, stay here. Take a reduction. Get your average salary under $60,000 because that's what we're willing to fund. But we're not going to fund an infinite amount of money. So when we lobbied to fight the levy is one thing. To say no, because if you say you're going to pass the levy, you're saying that the salary structure is fine, that you're okay with it. So I would encourage you to vote no. I am. I'm going to vote a big no. Just a moment. I'll take questions in a second, because I have to get into the issue too. Because the fix for these levy issues started with Senate Bill 5. Because so many people had troubles in new districts, they needed to find a way to give school boards some real teeth. So they have a way to negotiate. It wouldn't be just held to a union contract, the collective bargaining. Because what collective bargaining is, it basically says everybody gets an increase. Doesn't really matter how good you are. Doesn't really matter if you're staying an extra hour or two every day with some certain kid. Everybody gets the same. No matter what your tenure is, everybody gets it. And that's kind of a problem. Senate Bill 5 gave provisions to help us with the mediator, the third party representative that comes in and puts pressure on the school board and take a contract they can't afford. It also gives teachers, and I know there's a lot of them, because I hear from them, it gives teachers the ability to be in the union or not in the union, which is an option I think everybody should be willing to fight for. How can you, just like with healthcare, how can you be told you have to be in a union if you don't want to be? Why should you have to pay dues when you don't want to? So it's an option. That's another thing that issue 2 will give people. And I'm combining the two because issue 2 is a fix for the levies. You have to vote the levies down because you can't just give them money. Fix that by not giving them money. Then, issue 2 is a fix for us to manage these costs in our community. Now, the unions don't like that. They don't want that. Because they want it to be in Columbus. Because in Columbus, they have lobbyists. But as you can see, this group here is all dressed up and has nowhere to go. We don't go to school board meetings because it's pointless. We could go to school board meetings and actually have an impact. If you had issue 2, you could then say, Mr. School Board person or Mrs. School Board person, I don't want you to okay that. And they can actually negotiate provisions. Now, the other thing that issue 2 is going to do that I think is cover the freedom to be in a union, the third-party mediation, healthcare premiums, the healthcare premiums. You know, I've been to school boards where the unions get a tissy over 5% increases, and the whole focus of all of our community energy goes on those kind of debates. Meanwhile, you have a 10.1% increase from 2008 to 2011 on what it's cost us to maintain these teacher contracts. And when you say you don't like it, when you say, let's look at something else, let's look at some options, they send you this. They send you nasty letters. And that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable to me, and I'm not going to take that kind of thuggery in my community. That's not going to happen. And that's what the Lakota people have been gathering together for now over a year and a half to try to solve. Yes, you have a question. I know you want to answer. I saw that.
You're not saying, all you're talking about is salary. It's not just teacher salary, it's all clerks go up.
Oh, yes.
That we are able, when issue 2 says they must pay up to 15% of their healthcare benefits and part of some percentage into their retirement.
Right.
That's only fair. We have to do it in the private sector. Why should we pay for all of theirs? Now, you're going to get a lot of teachers who are arguing, well, we already do that. Okay, we already do it. It's not, it's already fixed. But issue 2 is
Issue 2.
to fix this. Whether you vote which way or whether you vote for the left, issue 2 goes through, it's going to fix it so that they have to take part of their pension and part of their health care.
Right.
That's what we want.
And that's only fair.
I don't care about the salaries as much as we're going to be able to negotiate like that. There will be no more forced arbitration that we have to pay.
Exactly. And I focus on the salaries because the salaries dictate the need for levy. They bring us about. I mean, they cause, if you want to look at it simply, and you're right, everything you said, the benefits are a huge cost. But I focus on the salaries because the salaries are something we can relate to because we all work to make money. Every single one of us works, sells some more time so we can get a little bit of money and then take care of our business. And when you see that you can relate to the salary structure and understand what it is. And that is what dictates the levy. So I'm trying to talk about both issues. Issue 5, which is the Lakota levy. Issue 2 is the Senate Bill 5 thing. So Senate Bill 5 is issue 2, and the Lakota levy is issue 5 now. So when I'm trying to talk about both at the same time so we can be related, and I'm sorry if it's kind of confusing, and you're absolutely right about all the benefits. We have been so wrapped up in all these little nitpicky things. Every time you talk to the union, I've heard from their side that they're willing to talk. They're willing to sit down and meet with everybody. No, they're not. They're not. I've dealt with them for 3 years now, and I've watched them. And they'll debate you over just the healthcare premium, let alone talk about salary structure, working extra 15 minutes for a kid, but yet it's all about kids. Now, I'll close this out. I want to go gavel. I can probably talk till midnight if you let me, but I'm not going to do that. If you heard today on WLW, we had a nice Doc Thompson and I had a nice little banner. We had a little fun on behalf of our school board president, Joan Powell. All of our school board presidents. I thought for a while that she's not that bad of a person. I've talked to her. We've had little discussions back and forth, but I think she showed her true cards. I received an email from, and we talked about it today on the air. We had a little fun with it. We call it Deep Throat, because I can't reveal who it is. But it's somebody who's in her administration. Somebody, one of her inner circle of friends, who feels guilty about what's going on, the imposition that the Lakota system is putting on our community. Because they're seeing the light. And some people actually start to listen. Well, Joe sent this letter out, and it's a cute little letter. And if you'll notice, there's kids up here. There's her grandkids here and here. And anytime I see literature from a school that has little kids on it, I worry. There's something amiss. Something's not right. So I read the letter from Deep Throat. It's an endorsement letter from people she wants to be on the school board. And it's Julie Schaefer and Jamie Green. Jamie Green used to be president of the school board a few years ago. In fact, she was the one who laid down between the strike of 2008 and gave the union whatever they wanted. And that's what caused us to be in the path right now. Joe wants her to be on the school board again. And Julie Schaefer, you might have heard the debate I had with Julie on 700 WLW about 2 weeks ago. Julie thinks everybody in Westchester makes $79,000 a year. That's what she thinks. She said it. She said it to 500,000 people, 38 states and part of Canada. She said that everybody makes $79,000 a year. That says she's out of touch. Because some people do make decent money in this community, but most people don't make close to that. And their household incomes. That's the kind of folks that Joan thinks should be on the school board. So you have another thing to consider in this debate. You should. I'm encouraging you, vote no on the Lakota levy, issue 5. Vote for anybody for school board except for Jamie Green and Julie Schaefer. Anybody. I'd vote for a dog. Anybody but them, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to stack up the board to a tax and spend group, because they're really afraid what's going to happen if issue 2 holds. And if it doesn't hold, we're going right back at it. If this policy is going to go away. And when it comes to issue 2, of course you need to vote yes. You want to keep it. We need it. Now, as far as the No Lakota group, you might have seen that we don't have any of our signs out yet, because they stole them all last time. So rather than throw our money away, we decided we're going to put them out this week. The end of the week, the next week, and the week after that. If you'd like to help us, email us at the NoLakotaLevy.com site. In fact, I have lots of charts and all kinds of great facts and figures, videos, and all kinds of fun stuff there. Visit us and tell us if you want to help us pass out signs. And also, if you'd like to give us a donation, we have a PayPal account there. We would love to have it. It's just $10. Because let me tell you something. NoLakotaLevy.com. NoLakotaLevy.com. Again, we have a PayPal account there. We could use a little bit of help because we're dealing with a group. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but Lakota is sitting on Move Forward group is sitting on $50,000. $30,000 that they had from last time, and we think they've raised at least $20,000 more in the last 3 weeks from the same donors. And that's PTA groups, and it's a big organization. So it's a lot of $20 contributions that they've accumulated to make that. So we have to combat that with signs and billboards and all the same things they do. So if you'd like to help us, we would appreciate it. But the most important thing is vote wisely. Vote the Lakota levy down, vote yes on issue 2, and anybody but those people for school board. Thank you.
Before you get off, you said the average salary is $63 me say, Mike. I'm going to take mine. You said, here's the night. You said the average salary was $63,000.
Yes.
Is that loaded labor rates?
Is it what?
Loaded labor rates.
Loaded.
Lower labor rates is a term used to explain vacations, healthcare. It doesn't include any benefits.
Just base salary.
All right.
That's just wall salary.
Figure out the loaded labor rates. Add to that. About 30% more.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's quite a bit more.
Well, second thing I guess I want to say is that if they need 63,000, they're working 165 days a year, not 8 hours a day.
Right.
Okay? I'm working 270 days a year. Now, if you want to really be fair, let's take those 165 days, 270 days, and compare apples to apples to realize that the loaded labor rates are probably 120, 130,000. That's average salary. I'm not making 120, 130,000. Second thing, I need to know the name of the dog that's running for school.
That's great. But what you just said, everything you just said is a result of collective bargaining. Yes, collective bargaining works. For them. It doesn't work for us. It works for the other side. So they love it. That's why they have the little blue signs and all that kind of stuff. And they just think it's all jolly and great. And we're just bad people because we don't like it. We don't want to pay that kind of stuff. We want the workers, we value them, but we don't want to be pillaged. Okay, I'll stop. I'm getting ready to head to midnight. Yes.
The busing issue, that's.
Oh, the busing issue. Yeah, well, the busing issue, here's the deal with the busing issue. There's no reason in the world that they shouldn't cut busing. It saves you $2.7 million a year. And what we revealed the other day is that Lakota paid last year $2.1 million in salary increases before they took their freeze in July. So the busing cut was to pay for the raises. And that's it. There is no reason to cut the busing because if you could go back and get the teachers union to actually negotiate reasonable salaries and be in a good district, we can have it all. We can have the sports, you can have everything. But you gotta take the green factor down. And yes, it's green. I don't know what else to call it. Yes.
What percent of the budget is transportation?
I think it's less than 2%, 2 to 3%. Which is, why would you deal with 2 to 3% when it's 80% of your cost to run the district is in wages, but you can't talk about it because of the contract. Yes.
Put pressure on the voters who have children to vote yes.
Say that again.
Put pressure on the voters who have children in school to vote yes.
Yellow mommy factor, yes. The mommy factor. Hey, by the way, while you brought the mommy factor, I'm supposed to be on with Daryl Park Show Saturday, and we're dealing with the mommy factor. In fact, we talked about it last Saturday, and you'll probably enjoy the broadcast if you call in when we're on the air doing these things, because he hates the mommy factor. Because the mommy factor, I hate to say it, there's a lot of mommies. Hey, look. The mommy factor has driven more evils in this world than just about anything you can come up with. The playing on the emotions of women, mommies, that's not fair. It's not fair. And they do it on a routine basis. In fact, when it doesn't work, they resort to the threats of violence. Yes, Uncle Bob. Oh.
All the salaries per school.
Yep. Bob's one of my partners in the Lakota group. And we have a great ad coming out on Thursday that you might want to tell your friends not to leave the paper in the drive. Pick it up and look at it. There should be some decent, also write notes, write letters to the editor because we need, they have a letter writing campaign. We need letters. So write some letters. Please. Saves us some trouble. Just say. But we have a really good ad that breaks down the wages for every school, year by year. The 22 schools that are in Lakota, and what the average salary is for each school. And you'll see there's a lot of elementary schools there that it'll shock you the numbers. But that's in this Thursday's paper, the hard number test.
show you, just to show you Lakota's ideas of how to sway people. Everybody thinks that Princeton Crossing is an elderly community. It is, somewhat. There's a lot of kids in that community. So the other day when I happened to be driving through and noticed on the committee for Westchester 47, and I noticed that the buses were only stopping at the clubhouse. I think about 200 kids up. And I thought to myself, they're really saving a lot of gas. I'm not driving around in a circle and picking kids.
Right.
So they're going to say, oh, we can't afford to waste kids.
Exactly.
And again, what before about the 30% was a policeman for a lot of years, and go up in the salary, police and fire, and one of my brothers dearly for what they do. But when unions get in to negotiate with police officers and firefighters away from their community and have no barrier, if you care less about your community, instead of you going in and bargaining on your own to your mayor, your safety director, whoever, you lose it. Because the union is just going to get more dues, and all that extra 30% for all the health care benefits is a lot of money you folks are paying, other than their salary. We're telling you, the average police officer, first year salary is almost $7,000.
That's a great point. I think if you have to consider the one thing that the unions are most scared about with issue 2, it's giving people the option to be in a union. If there's one thing in that whole bill that scares them to death, it's the loss of revenue. So think about that when you see that fireman say, I'm here to save you. Pay me infinite amounts of money. No, you're going to be there anyway because we're going to hire a fireman. There'll be a fireman. There'll be a policeman. There will be a teacher. But it won't be on their terms. It'll be on ours. Thank you very much. Okay, well, she's been telling me to plug my blog. I write articles every single day for the Tea Party groups. I don't affiliate with the Tea Party because some of my stuff's too far to the right for the Tea Party. So I try to keep it independent. But I write articles there every day for hungry people who just want some food and some common sense. It's you can get it at overmanwarrior.com. You can get to the link of that through the No Lakota levy. Overmanwarrior.com. The No Lakota levy has links to it, and if you get there, you can see it for yourself. There's new articles every day. I'm sorry, I get so wrapped up. Overman Warrior. Overman Warrior. Like over the rainbow. OvermanWarrior.com. Yeah, that's my personal thing. I keep, so it's just my responsibility.
Right, so I already established I'm a stats geek and I like reading all this stuff. Here's a website, please write this down. You'll blow your mind, and it's just the most amazing